I am Kublai Khan, the fifth great Khan of the Mongol Empire and the founder of the Yuan Dynasty in China. Born on September 23, 1215, into the great Borjigin clan of my grandfather Genghis Khan, I carried the legacy of uniting and ruling vast lands. My story is one of ambition, conquests, and the delicate art of governance. After the death of my brother Monk Khan in 1259, a conflict arose between me and my brother Eric Boke over the title of Great Khan. This civil war, 1260 to 1264, tested my resolve and military strategy. Ultimately, I prevailed, though the conflict weakened the unity of the Mongol Empire. In 1260, I declared myself Great Khan and began consolidating my authority. However, my focus was on ruling China, the jewel of the Mongol conquests. By 1271, I established the Yuan Dynasty, claiming the mandate of heaven. My forces, after years of relentless campaigns, finally conquered the southern Song dynasty in 1279, uniting all of China under Mongol rule. This marked the first time a non-Chinese ruler had achieved such a feat. In my capital, Dadu, modern-day Beijing, I built a city that reflected both Mongol strength and Chinese sophistication. My court was a blend of cultures, Confucian advisors, Buddhist monks, and administrators from Persia and Central Asia. The campaigns I led were vast and ambitious, shaping the Mongol Empire and leaving their mark on history, though not all my campaigns ended in triumph. I sought to extend my empire across the seas to Japan. In 1274 and 1281, I launched naval expeditions, but both ended disastrously, thwarted by fierce resistance. The Dai Viet, northern Vietnam, and Kampa, central Vietnam, resisted my authority fiercely. My forces advanced into the region, but the tropical terrain and guerrilla tactics employed by the locals thwarted our efforts. Though they submitted diplomatically, their independence persisted in practice. I was more than a conqueror, I was a builder and a ruler. My reign brought immense cultural and economic exchange through the Silk Road. I welcomed travelers, including the Venetian Marco Polo, who would later recount the magnificence of my court.
The Yuan Dynasty, established by Kublai Khan in 1271, marked a significant chapter in Chinese and Mongolian history. As a part of the greater Mongol Empire, the Yuan Dynasty fused the nomadic traditions of the steppes with the sophisticated administrative and cultural frameworks of China. Kublai Khan, a grandson of Genghis Khan, played a central role in this transformation, combining military conquest with political ingenuity to solidify his reign and expand the empire's influence. Kublai Khan's rise to power was set against the backdrop of a fracturing Mongol empire. After the death of Genghis Khan, the vast empire was divided among his descendants into khanates. Kublai's ambitions extended beyond mere territorial dominance. He sought to integrate Mongol and Chinese governance systems and establish himself as a legitimate ruler of China. This vision culminated in 1271 when Kublai declared the establishment of the Yuan Dynasty. adopting a Chinese dynastic name to legitimize his rule among his Chinese subjects. By 1279, he achieved the final conquest of the Southern Song dynasty, uniting China under Yuan rule for the first time in centuries. Significant administrative innovations marked Kublai Khan's governance. He retained many Chinese bureaucratic practices but introduced Mongolian elements, such as the division of society into hierarchical classes based on ethnicity and loyalty. This structure privileged Mongols and other non-Chinese groups over the Han Chinese majority, creating a complex dynamic within the empire. Kublai also encouraged trade and cultural exchange, transforming the Yuan dynasty into a vital link between East and West during the height of the Silk Road. The rule of Kublai Khan's Yuan dynasty over China was characterized by relentless military campaigns aimed at expanding the empire's borders. His forces advanced into Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and beyond, demonstrating the Mongols' unparalleled military might. Notable campaigns included invasions of Vietnam, Burma, and Java, which aimed to secure tributary relationships and control over trade routes. However, these campaigns often faced logistical challenges, unfamiliar terrain, and resilient local resistance, leading to mixed outcomes. One of Kublai Khan's most ambitious endeavors was his attempt to conquer Japan, which resulted in two large-scale invasions in 1274 and 1281. These campaigns were motivated by Kublai's desire to extend his influence and establish Japan as a tributary state of the Yuan dynasty. However, both attempts ended in failure, highlighting the challenges of maritime warfare and the limits of Mongol expansion. The first invasion of Japan, known as the Battle of Buniai, began in 1274. Kublai Khan sent a fleet of about 900 ships carrying an estimated 23,000 troops, including Mongols, Chinese, and Koreans. The fleet set sail from Korea and landed on the islands of Tsushima and Iki before advancing toward Hakata Bay on the Japanese island of Kyushu. The Mongol forces initially overwhelmed the local samurai defenders with their superior tactics and weaponry, including the use of gunpowder bombs, which were unfamiliar to the Japanese. However, after a day of intense fighting, the Mongol forces retreated to their ships, possibly due to logistical difficulties and the onset of a sudden storm. This storm, later interpreted by the Japanese as a divine intervention, forced the Mongol fleet to withdraw, ending the first invasion attempt. Undeterred by the failure of the first invasion, Kublai Khan launched an even larger campaign in 1281, known as the Battle of Koan. This time, the Yuan forces consisted of two separate fleets. The Eastern Route Army, composed of approximately 40,000 troops from Korea, and the Southern Route Army, comprising about 100,000 troops from southern China. The two fleets planned to converge on Kyushu and launch a coordinated attack. The Eastern Route Army arrived first and engaged in skirmishes with Japanese defenders along the coastline. However, the Southern Route Army faced delays due to logistical challenges, and the coordination between the two fleets was poor. The Japanese, under the leadership of experienced samurai commanders, mounted a fierce defense, using fortified positions and small, fast ships to harass the Yuan forces. After months of stalemate, a massive typhoon struck in August 1281, devastating the Yuan fleets. Thousands of ships were destroyed, and tens of thousands of troops perished, either in the storm or at the hands of the Japanese defenders. This disaster, attributed to the kamikaze or divine wind, ended the second invasion attempt and marked a significant turning point in the Yuan dynasty's expansion efforts. Kublai Khan's efforts to expand the Yuan dynasty left a lasting legacy. His rule underscored the importance of cultural synthesis and the potential for an empire to thrive as a hub of trade and diplomacy. However, the enormous costs of constant military campaigns strained the empire's resources and contributed to internal dissent. The ethnic hierarchy and heavy taxation further alienated the Chinese population, laying the groundwork for future uprisings. The Mongol rule in China under the great Kublai Khan's Yuan dynasty came to an end just around 80 years later, as the dynasty's decline was accelerated by a massive uprising that began in the 1350s, called Red Turban Rebellion, which led to the overthrow of the Yuan dynasty, the restoration of Han Chinese rule and the foundation of the Ming dynasty, and the retreat of the Mongols to the Mongolian steppes, where they established the Northern Yuan dynasty.